This audiobook reveals the ancient force known as the hidden law, the same power that turns thoughts into empires and dreams into form. You are drawn here by more than curiosity. It is your soul remembering what it has always known. The hidden law is not outside of you. It is you. The Hidden Law. Introduction. In your grasp lies not merely a key, but a relic of cosmic remembrance, an artifact older than time itself. It was forged in the silence before the first word, shaped by the same breath that stirred the stars into motion. This key does not open doors made by hands, but gateways of spirit and mind, thresholds to a force that once moved across the waters of the void, calling order from chaos. This force is the hidden law, the sacred rhythm behind the seen and unseen, the pulse beneath the surface of all becoming. It does not speak in words, but in symbols and signs, in the sacred geometry of life. Its voice shimmers in moonlit rivers, dances in the smoke of incense, and lingers in dreams too ancient to remember. It is what turns breath into prophecy, and silence into revelation. It does not judge, nor favor. It responds to those who remember how to listen. You did not stumble upon this work by accident. You were summoned, drawn by the soft echo of truth that slumbers in your marrow. This calling is the song of your soul awakening, recognizing the path it once walked in lives now veiled by time. The words herein are not teachings in the ordinary sense. They are awakenings. Fragments of an eternal whisper passed from sage to sage, woven through mystery schools and kept alive in the hidden currents of the world. You stand now before a veil, not to believe, but to see. This is not a path of doctrines or dogma, but of remembrance. You will not be told what to think, but shown how to unveil the mirror. The universe is not a distant force to be appeased. It is the intimate fire that burns at the center of your being, waiting to be known, not worshipped. The hidden law is not apart from you. It is you. It moves in the quiet of your breath, in the flash of a sudden knowing. You are not here to learn a new truth, but to recover a sacred one that has never left you. What you seek is already yours. It need only be seen, accepted, and lived. The journey begins where memory ends, where the veil thins, and the eternal begins to stir. Part 1. The Awakening, Remembering the Forgotten Law. Chapter 1. The Veil Begins to Lift. In a small village where time seemed to flow like honey, there lived a seamstress named Clara. Her skilled hands had crafted countless wedding dresses, each stitch a prayer for love and happiness. One autumn evening, as she restored an ancient gown that had passed through generations, her needle caught on something peculiar. Within the yellowed lining, she discovered a scroll, its edges worn smooth by decades of silence. The words inscribed upon it spoke of a power that dwells within all beings, a force as natural as breathing, yet forgotten by most. The truth Clara uncovered that day mirrors the reality that surrounds you now. Most walk through life believing their experiences are random occurrences, scattered like leaves in an autumn wind. Yet beneath this apparent chaos lies an ordered universe, governed by spiritual laws as precise as mathematics, as consistent as the rising sun. You live within a vast matrix of divine intelligence, though your eyes may have been trained to see only shadows of its presence. The hidden law operates whether you recognize it or not, just as gravity exerts its pull regardless of your awareness of its existence. But the moment you begin to perceive its presence, everything changes. The veil of limitation begins to dissolve, not through effort or struggle, but through the simple act of recognition. Consider Thomas, the watchmaker who lived in the mountains. Each day, he repaired timepieces with mechanical precision, until one morning, when doubt crept into his ordered world. As he questioned the rigid boundaries of his reality, he noticed something extraordinary. Time itself seemed to bend around his awareness. The ticking of his beloved clocks grew slower, more deliberate, as if the universe was revealing its subtle malleability to his awakening consciousness. Thomas's experience mirrors your own journey at this moment. As you read these words, you may sense something stirring within, an ancient knowing beginning to surface. Each question that arises in your mind creates a crack in the facade of limitation, allowing light to stream through from a greater reality. To begin awakening this dormant wisdom, I offer you this sacred practice passed down through ages. Find a quiet moment each day, preferably as the sun rises or sets. Place your right hand over your heart, feeling its steady rhythm. In this space of stillness, ask silently, "What have I always known?" Let the question sink deeper than thought, beyond the noise of the mind. Repeat this practice daily, allowing each session to open another door to remembrance. This simple ritual serves as a key unlocking chambers of wisdom within your being that have waited lifetimes to be rediscovered. Chapter 2. The Secret Behind All Manifestation. In the quiet corners of an ancient library, Eleanor spent her days among towering shelves of wisdom. You see, she understood something that most overlook. Libraries are not mere buildings, but temples housing the accumulated knowledge of ages. On her final day before retirement, while organizing a forgotten section of metaphysical texts, she uncovered a leather-bound volume that seemed to pulse with its own light. As she opened its weathered chapters, the words sparked a recognition deep within her soul, not as new information, but as a remembrance of what she had always known. The hidden law reveals itself to you now as it did to Eleanor. It is not a technique to be mastered or a skill to be learned. It is a vibration, a frequency that underlies all of creation. This, the essence of manifestation, flows through every atom of existence, every thought, every breath. It is the force through which all things come into being, the spiritual architecture behind what many now call the law of attraction. You have felt its presence in those moments when synchronicity seems too perfect to be coincidence. You have glimpsed it when your deepest wishes materialized with unexpected ease. These were not accidents or strokes of fortune. They were moments when you naturally aligned with this, the hidden law that governs all manifestation. Why then does this law remain concealed from so many? The answer lies not in its complexity, but in its simplicity. Those who seek complexity cannot perceive it, just as one searching for a distant star might miss the sun. The hidden law operates whether believed in or not, just as gravity exerts its pull regardless of one's understanding of physics. Henry, a humble weaver of baskets, experienced this truth through a vision that came to him at dawn. In his heightened state of awareness, he witnessed humanity weaving golden threads of thought into the fabric of reality. Some wove consciously, their threads forming beautiful patterns of intention. Others wove unconsciously, their threads tangled with doubt and fear. Yet all were creators, all were manifestors, even those who denied their power. What Henry saw reveals a fundamental truth about your own nature. You are always in communion with this, always manifesting, even in moments of forgetfulness. Every thought, every feeling, every belief weaves its way into the tapestry of your experience. To deepen your recognition of this eternal wisdom, take up your pen and engage in this sacred practice. Write down 5 things you knew before you learned them, moments of inexplicable certainty, flashes of insight that preceded evidence. Perhaps you knew a friend would call or felt drawn to a place that later proved significant. These instances of knowing are not coincidences. They are moments when this spoke through your intuition, revealing the hidden law at work in your life. Chapter 3. You were never ordinary. Through the mist-laden streets of dawn, Walter carried more than letters in his weathered mailbag. Day after day, he noticed an uncanny pattern emerging. The messages he delivered seemed to echo the unspoken yearnings of his heart. When thoughts of travel filled his mind, travel brochures appeared in his deliveries. On mornings when loneliness weighed heavy, love letters would mysteriously multiply in his bag. You see, Walter had stumbled upon a truth that the ancients knew well. The outer world serves as a mirror to your inner realm. Every circumstance, every coincidence, reflects back the vibration you hold within. The hidden law operates through this mirror principle, showing you what you need to see precisely when you need to see it. When doubt whispers that you are separate from the miraculous, remember, this very doubt is the law itself, gently nudging you back toward recognition of your true nature. What appears as limitation is merely an invitation to remember your limitlessness. The universe speaks to you through every experience, every encounter, every apparent obstacle. In a distant village, young Martha knew this truth without knowing she knew it. Orphaned at birth, she spent her nights gazing at the stars, convinced they held messages meant only for her. The other children dismissed her beliefs. The adults smiled kindly at what they saw as childhood fancy. But Martha persisted in her knowing. One night, as she lay in the grass beneath the vast celestial canvas, something extraordinary occurred. The stars began to pulse with an ancient rhythm, sending patterns of light that spoke directly to her soul. In that moment, Martha realized she hadn't been talking to the stars. She had been conversing with the deepest part of herself, the part that had never forgotten its connection to the infinite. This truth resides within you as well. The extraordinary hasn't left you. It has been waiting patiently for you to recognize its presence. Every moment of wonder you've experienced, every inexplicable knowing, every synchronized event points to this reality. You are not separate from the miraculous. You are miraculous, expressing itself in human form. To awaken this remembrance, stand before a mirror each day. Look deeply into your own eyes for 3 minutes and silently affirm, "I remember who I am." This is not mere repetition of words. It is an activation of ancient memory, a calling forth of what has always been true. In your reflection, you will begin to see beyond the surface, beyond the stories of limitation, to the infinite being that gazes back at you. Chapter 4. Echoes from the Ancient Mind. In the dimly lit workshop of Harrison's timepiece repair shop, the steady rhythm of ticking clocks filled the air. Among the countless timepieces brought to him for restoration was an ornate grandfather clock, its mahogany case worn by centuries. As Harrison worked to repair its ancient mechanism, something extraordinary occurred. Whispers emerged from within its pendulum swing, speaking in languages long forgotten by the world. You must understand that the hidden law has never truly been hidden. It has been preserved in the sacred chambers of Egyptian pyramids, echoed through Tibetan monasteries, and whispered in the quiet corners of temples across time. The ancients knew this force well, encoding its wisdom in symbols and sound. What you perceive as new is merely the eternal truth returning to consciousness. The law speaks in many tongues, but its message remains unchanged. The power to shape reality dwells within you, as it has dwelled within every sage and mystic throughout history. This knowledge has survived not through proclamation, but through silence, in the spaces between words, in the pause between breaths, in the stillness before dawn. Along the banks of an ancient river, Pearl discovered a smooth stone bearing strange markings. Upon closer examination, she recognized it as a prayer, its words carved by hands long since returned to dust. Following an inexplicable urging, she traced the river's path upstream, the stone growing warmer in her grasp with each step. Her journey led to a clearing where stone circles stood in silent witness to forgotten ceremonies. Here, the prayer on the river stone began to pulse with meaning, not through words but through the silence between them. Pearl realized that the wisdom she sought had not been lost, it had been waiting in the quiet places for those ready to listen. This tale mirrors your own journey of remembrance. The truth you seek does not require learning. It requires listening. The hidden law has been speaking to you since before your first breath, patiently waiting for you to turn your attention inward. Every sacred text, every ancient teaching points to this singular truth. Wisdom comes not from accumulation, but from remembrance. As the sun prepares to rise each morning, find a place of solitude. Sit in perfect stillness for 5 minutes, breathing naturally. Do not search for answers or strain for insight. Simply be present with the silence. In this space between night and day, between sleeping and waking, the hidden law speaks most clearly. Listen not with your ears, but with your entire being. The wisdom you seek already resides within you, waiting to be remembered. Chapter 5. Desire is the divine in disguise. In the sun-baked fields of his ancestral farm, Franklin tended the withering crops beneath a merciless sky. Night after night, his dreams filled with the sweet scent of rain, the gentle patter of droplets on dusty soil, and each morning following these dreams, clouds would gather, blessing the parched earth with life-giving water. Through this mysterious connection, Franklin glimpsed a truth as old as the soil itself. You must understand that desire is not what you have been taught. It is not the greedy grasping of the ego, but the sacred voice of the universe speaking through you. When you feel a pure longing stir in your heart, you are experiencing the divine force of creation seeking to express itself through your being. The universe evolves through your desires. Each authentic wish that rises from your depths is a seed planted by the infinite, yearning to bloom into manifestation. Your role is not to judge these desires or dismiss them as selfish. It is to honor them as messages from the divine mind that orchestrates all of creation. In a small cottage at the edge of town, Louise kept a special garden where she buried her wishes. Written on small pieces of parchment, she would plant them beneath the soil with reverence and trust. As seasons passed, her garden bloomed in unexpected ways, not always giving her exactly what she had written, but always providing what her soul truly sought. A wish for wealth manifested as a profound sense of abundance in simple pleasures. A desire for love blossomed first as self-acceptance, then attracted kindred spirits into her life. This tale reveals the wisdom of surrendering your desires to the fertile soil of universal intelligence. When you honor your deepest longings as sacred messengers, you align with the creative force that shapes worlds. Your desires are not random thoughts. They are the universe's way of speaking its intentions through you. Take a piece of paper and pen. In the quiet of your heart, write a letter to your greatest desire as though it were a living being, because in truth it is. Address it with reverence, acknowledging that it chose you as its vessel into manifestation. Share your commitment to nurturing its growth, while releasing attachment to the exact form it may take. End the letter with gratitude, knowing that your desire already holds the perfect path to its own fulfillment, Keep this letter in a special place, letting it serve as a reminder that you are in sacred partnership with the creative force of the universe itself. Chapter 6: The Magnetic Mirror. In the heart of an ancient city stood a small barber shop where George practiced his craft. Each morning, as sunlight filtered through dusty windows, he noticed something extraordinary in his mirrors. Beyond the mere reflection of faces and features, he witnessed the subtle dance of energy surrounding each person who sat in his chair. Through this awakening, you too shall discover that reality acts as a perfect mirror, reflecting not the surface of your desires, but the depths of your being. George began a sacred experiment. Before each client arrived, he would close his eyes and fill his heart with pure joy. As he held this vibration, something miraculous occurred. His clients began to radiate with an inner light, their faces transformed by an unseen force. You see, the universe responds not to your wishes or wants, but to the energy you emanate. When George shifted his own state of being, the world around him transformed to match this new frequency. This is the deeper truth of manifestation. It flows from essence, not effort. In a distant valley lived Dorothy, whose emotions painted the world in vivid hues. When joy filled her heart, the trees sparkled with golden light. In moments of sadness, the sky itself seemed to deepen to indigo. She came to understand that these changes weren't happening to her world, they were happening through her. Dorothy's tale unveils a fundamental truth. Your inner state is the only true magnet of manifestation. The colors that danced around her weren't separate from her consciousness. They were extensions of it. Just as a mirror cannot help but reflect what stands before it, the universe cannot help but match your inner vibration. Now you are ready for an ancient practice of transformation. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Close your eyes and breathe deeply. For the next 3 minutes, step fully into the reality you wish to create, not as a future possibility, but as your present truth. Feel the emotions, see the details, embrace the sensations of already living your ideal life. Let every cell of your being resonate with this truth. This is not mere imagination. It is the act of aligning your energy with what you wish to manifest. Practice this daily, preferably at sunrise or sunset, when the veils between realities are thinnest. Remember, the mirror of life reflects not what you seek, but who you are. In this sacred practice, you're not reaching for something outside yourself. You're awakening to what already exists within. Chapter 7: The Law Beneath the Surface. In the depths of the Mediterranean, where light filters through ancient waters, Raymond discovered a hidden cavern that would unveil the deepest mysteries of existence. As he swam through its crystalline entrance, something extraordinary occurred. His breath synchronized with the gentle pulse of the ocean itself. In that sacred moment, he felt the universe breathing through him, erasing all boundaries between self and infinite. You stand now at the threshold of understanding that the hidden law exists prior to all form, all thought, all manifestation. It is the field from which reality emerges, the canvas upon which existence paints itself. When Raymond surrendered to this field, he touched the source of all creation, the space where separation dissolves and unity prevails. This primordial field responds not to your thoughts, but to your state of being. It is the invisible current that flows beneath the surface of all things, orchestrating the dance of creation with perfect precision. Your role is not to direct this force, but to align with its natural flow. In a small village in the mountains, Agnes lived alone with her paints and canvases. Each morning, she would wake with visions so vivid they demanded expression. Her brush moved as if guided by an unseen hand, creating landscapes she had never witnessed. Crystalline lakes between snow-capped peaks, ancient temples hidden in misty valleys, desert oases shimmering under starlit skies. Years later, as she traveled, Agnes discovered these places existed exactly as she had painted them. Her art had not been imagination, but revelation, a direct communion with the field of infinite possibility that precedes physical form. Through her surrender to this deeper current, she became a channel for truth that existed beyond time and space. Your own connection to this field remains constant, whether recognized or not. Like the ocean that held Raymond in its embrace, like the visions that flowed through Agnes's brush, the hidden law moves through you in every moment. It is not something to achieve, but something to remember. To strengthen your awareness of this eternal presence, practice this ancient breath ritual. Find a quiet space where you can sit undisturbed. Allow your spine to grow tall, your shoulders to soften. As you inhale, silently speak the word receive, opening yourself to the infinite field of possibility. As you exhale, whisper reveal, allowing the wisdom of the hidden law to emerge through you. Continue this rhythm for 7 breaths, feeling yourself merge with the underlying current of creation. Through this practice, you dissolve the illusion of separation and remember your true nature as a vessel through which the hidden law expresses itself. Like Raymond in his underwater sanctuary, like Agnes before her canvas, you become one with the eternal flow of creation. Chapter 8. The Power of Knowing Without Seeing. In a small cottage by the sea, Esther lived alone after her beloved husband's passing. Each morning she would set 2 teacups on her weathered oak table, one for herself and one for the joy she knew awaited her. She spoke to abundance as if it already filled her home, thanked the universe for blessings as if they had already arrived, and walked through her garden as if accompanied by love itself. You see, Esther had stumbled upon the most powerful expression of the hidden law, the art of living from the end. As she chose to dwell in the feeling of wishes fulfilled, the universe began to arrange itself around her certainty. Her neighbors noticed a glow about her, opportunities appeared unexpectedly, and even her roses bloomed out of season. The hidden law responds not to your efforts or your wants, but to your knowing. When you live as if your desires are already manifest, you align with the vibrational frequency of their fulfillment. This is not pretense or imagination. It is attunement to a reality that already exists in the infinite field of possibility. High in the mountains, where ancient winds whispered secrets to those who would listen, lived a young boy named Jonas. One morning, standing on a rocky ledge, Jonas felt an inexplicable certainty fill his heart. Without hesitation or doubt, he stepped forward into empty air. The villagers gasped, but Jonas knew. As he fell, the wind itself seemed to solidify beneath him, catching him in its ethereal embrace and carrying him gently to the ground below. When asked how he knew the wind would catch him, Jonas simply smiled and said, "How could it not? We are one and the same." In that moment of pure knowing, Jonas had merged with the hidden law itself. There was no separation between his certainty and the universe's response. They were one movement, one truth, one reality. Your own manifestations await this same unwavering knowing. Not hope, not wish, not even belief, but the absolute certainty that comes from recognizing your oneness with the hidden law. When you live from this space of knowing, the universe has no choice but to mirror your inner reality. To begin embodying this truth, choose one aspect of your deepest desire and live it fully today. If you seek abundance, carry yourself with the dignity of wealth. If you await love, Treat yourself with the tenderness you would show a beloved. If you desire health, move with the vitality of one who is whole. Choose one small action that aligns with your dream, as if it is already manifest, and let this be your offering to the hidden law today. Chapter 9. You speak in symbols. In a small flower shop tucked between ancient brick buildings, Mabel arranged stems and petals with practiced grace. Yet something peculiar began to unfold. Each bouquet she created seemed to mirror the unspoken emotions of those who would later purchase them. Without knowing why, she would weave dark purple blooms and thorny stems for those carrying hidden grief, or burst forth with yellow daffodils and white lilies for those on the verge of joy. You too are surrounded by such divine synchronicity. The universe speaks not just through words, but through the subtle language of symbol and sign. Every recurring image that crosses your path carries a message. Every coincidence whispers of deeper meaning. The hidden law manifests through this sacred vocabulary of the visible world. When you attune yourself to this symbolic dialogue, you begin to recognize that nothing is random. The cardinal that appears at your window, the numbers that follow you through your day, the fragments of dreams that linger, these are all threads in the tapestry of universal communication. Your inner world is constantly being reflected in the outer, creating a living language of meaningful coincidence. In a distant village, young Dean spent his afternoons drawing in the dust with a wooden stick. One day his hand moved as if guided by an unseen force, and he traced the form of a magnificent bird wreathed in flames. The image came to him completely, though he had never seen it before. Months later, while wandering in the hills above his home, he discovered an ancient stone carved with the identical symbol, a phoenix, sacred to those who had walked these paths centuries before. The phoenix had called to Dean through time itself, speaking to something his soul remembered though his mind had never learned. This is the way of true knowledge. It rises from depths beyond ordinary memory, appearing first in symbol and synchronicity before revealing its full meaning. Your own life is filled with such symbolic messages, each one a breadcrumb on the path to deeper understanding. The hidden law speaks to you through this timeless language, leaving signs that your heart recognizes even when your mind cannot yet translate their meaning. To begin walking this path of symbolic awareness, create a simple journal dedicated to recording the signs and symbols that appear in your daily life. For 7 days, note any recurring images, numbers, animals, or themes that cross your path. Write them without judgment or interpretation, simply allowing patterns to emerge naturally. Pay special attention to those symbols that seem to appear in clusters or that stir something deep within you. This practice will attune you to the hidden dialogue constantly unfolding between your consciousness and the universal mind. Chapter 10. The Portal of Now. In the quiet halls of St. Michael's Hospital, Florence discovered something extraordinary. Between the beeping monitors and shuffling feet, she found moments to close her eyes and breathe. At first, these were mere escapes from the chaos, until she noticed a pattern emerging. When she achieved complete presence, remarkable events would unfold. Patients would unexpectedly improve, needed supplies would appear, and solutions would arise effortlessly. You stand at the threshold of this same truth. The hidden law operates solely in the eternal now, this pristine moment that forever unfolds anew. When you step fully into presence, you align with the creative force that births universes. Your power to manifest does not exist in memories of what was, nor in dreams of what might be. It lives only in the sacred space of now. Time, as you have known it, is the greatest illusion separating you from your desires. The past exists only as thought, the future as imagination. But now, this eternal moment is where all power resides. It is the only point where consciousness meets creation, where thought transforms into form. Edgar, a quiet man who spent years searching for answers, discovered this truth in an unexpected way. One afternoon, overwhelmed by questions about his life's direction, he simply stopped. In that cessation of mental activity, in that perfect stillness, a voice of clarity emerged from within. It spoke not in words, but in knowing, pure, direct, and unmistakable. From that day forward, Edgar learned to enter this stillness at will, finding that each moment of pure presence brought forth new guidance and unexpected grace. This experience mirrors the truth waiting in your own being. When you release the weight of time, the burden of what was and what might be, you enter the realm where the hidden law operates with perfect precision. Here in the eternal now, every desire already exists in its fulfilled state. Your role is not to make it happen, but to align with what already is. The present moment is not a stepping stone to your desires, it is the fulfillment itself, waiting to be recognized. Each breath drawn in awareness is a communion with this truth. Each conscious moment is a portal through which the infinite expresses itself. To anchor this wisdom in your daily experience, practice this ancient breath mantra. Find a quiet space and allow your breath to become steady and deep. With each breath, speak these words with full presence. Now is sacred. Now is power. Now is mine. Continue this practice for 3 minutes each day, feeling the truth of each word resonate through your being. This is not mere repetition. It is an activation of the timeless power that lives within you. Part 2. The Deepening, Aligning with the Hidden Law. Chapter 11. Surrendering the Old Map. In a weathered lighthouse overlooking the sea, Beatrice spread her mysterious maps across an old oak table. Night after night, these visions appeared in her dreams, not charts of physical landmarks, but flowing patterns that seemed to capture the invisible currents of existence itself. With trembling hands, she traced lines that spoke of paths beyond the physical realm, corridors through consciousness that defied conventional navigation. You too hold maps within your mind, beliefs etched deeply by time and experience. These mental cartographies have guided you thus far, showing what you thought was possible, marking the boundaries of your perceived reality. Yet like ancient maps that once marked the edge of the world with "Here be dragons," your current beliefs may no longer serve the territory you are meant to explore. The hidden law operates beyond the rigid boundaries of expectation. It flows through channels that your rational mind cannot chart, moving with a wisdom that transcends your carefully drawn plans. When you cling to outdated maps, beliefs about what is possible, about how things must unfold, you resist the very force trying to guide you toward expansion. Albert discovered this truth at age 65, after decades of relying on instruments and charts as a commercial pilot. One morning, flying his small private plane, all his instruments failed simultaneously. Instead of panic, he felt a strange peace descend. In that moment, something ancient awakened within him, a knowing that transcended meters and dials. He found himself navigating with perfect precision, guided by an intelligence that needed no external confirmation. This story mirrors your own journey with the hidden law. The instruments you have relied upon, logic, past experience, careful planning, serve their purpose, but they cannot guide you into the unknown territories of manifestation. True mastery comes when you learn to navigate by the star of inner knowing, when you allow intuition to chart your course. Your beliefs are not facts, they are maps drawn in a different time for a different you. The universe is inviting you to draw new maps, to allow your consciousness to expand beyond familiar shores. This requires courage, for you must be willing to venture into unmarked territory, guided only by trust in the hidden law. To begin this sacred remapping of your consciousness, take 3 beliefs that have limited your expression of the hidden law. Write each one on a separate piece of paper. These might be thoughts like, "Change must be difficult," or "I must know how before I begin." In a safe space, burn these papers or bury them in the earth. As you do, feel yourself releasing not just thoughts, but the entire landscapes they have created in your mind. Allow new territories of possibility to emerge in their place. Chapter 12. Belief is the architect of worlds. In his dimly lit workshop, Maxwell stood before his latest invention, a device he claimed could harness energy from the air itself. For years, he had noticed a peculiar pattern. His creations functioned perfectly during moments of absolute certainty, yet faltered when doubt crept in. This was not coincidence, but evidence of a deeper truth about the nature of reality itself. You live in a universe that mirrors your deepest convictions. Your beliefs are not passive observers of reality. They are the very blueprints from which your experience is built. When you declare something impossible, you activate an invisible force that ensures your declaration becomes true. When you know something will work, you align with the hidden law that makes it so. The power of belief extends far beyond mere positive thinking. It is the primary substance from which all manifestation springs forth. Your beliefs are not simply thoughts. They are creative forces that shape the very fabric of your existence. Each conviction you hold acts as a command to the universe, setting in motion forces that will confirm your expectations. In a small classroom across town, Eloise made a discovery that paralleled Maxwell's revelation. Her students' achievements had little to do with her teaching methods and everything to do with her unshakable vision of their potential. When she looked at each child, she saw not their current limitations, but their inherent brilliance. One by one, they began to reflect the greatness she recognized within them. This truth applies to every aspect of your life. The world you experience is not happening to you. It is responding to you. Your beliefs about money determine your financial reality. Your beliefs about relationships shape your connections with others. Your beliefs about your own capabilities define the boundaries of what you can achieve. The hidden law responds not to what you want, but to what you accept as truth. When Maxwell believed in his inventions with his whole being, the universe rearranged itself to match his conviction. When Eloise saw excellence in her students, they rose to embody her vision. To harness this power, you must become conscious of the beliefs currently shaping your reality. Then, with deliberate intent, you must plant new truths in the fertile soil of your consciousness. These new beliefs must be nurtured with the same conviction with which you now hold your current limitations. Begin this sacred practice by completing this statement daily. I am now living in a world where... Speak it with the certainty of one who knows, not the hope of one who wishes. Feel the truth of it in your bones. Let your words carry the weight of absolute knowing, for in this knowing lies the power to reshape your reality. Chapter 13. Emotion is the spell you cast. In the grand concert hall, Della's fingers hovered over the ivory keys. As she began to play, something extraordinary unfolded. The music carried more than melody. With each note, the atmosphere in the room transformed. Joy rippled through the air when her touch was light. Peace descended when her rhythm slowed. And when she played from depths of gratitude, the entire hall seemed to glow with golden light. You must understand that emotion is not merely a response to life, it is the very force that creates it. Your feelings are sacred frequencies, each one broadcasting a signal into the infinite field of possibility. The hidden law responds not to your words or actions, but to the vibration of your emotional state. When you exist in states of gratitude, joy, or peace, you align with the highest frequencies of creation. These elevated emotions act as keys, unlocking doors to manifestation that remain sealed to lower vibrations of doubt, fear, or lack. This is why two people can perform the same actions yet achieve vastly different results. Their emotional frequencies are broadcasting different commands to the universe. Consider the story of Silas, whose poetry had always emerged from wells of sorrow. One evening, instead of avoiding his grief, he chose to feel it completely. As he allowed the emotion to move through him without resistance, something miraculous occurred. His sorrow transformed into pure joy, as naturally as night turns to day. His subsequent poems carried this new frequency, touching readers in ways his previous work never had. This transformation reveals a vital truth: emotions are energy in motion. When you resist a feeling, you trap its energy. When you embrace it fully, you allow it to transform. Your task is not to avoid lower frequencies, but to move through them consciously, understanding that each emotion carries its own wisdom and potential for elevation. The hidden law responds to your dominant emotional frequency. Like a radio receiver, you must tune yourself to the frequency of what you wish to create. If you desire abundance, you must cultivate the feeling of abundance. If you seek love, you must become the frequency of love itself. To begin working with this aspect of the law, choose one high-frequency state: gratitude, joy, or peace. Set aside 5 minutes each day to immerse yourself fully in this emotion. Do not simply think about it, become it. Feel it in every cell of your body. Let it radiate from your heart center until you are broadcasting this frequency with your entire being. This is not mere practice, it is sacred attunement to the creative force of the universe. As you maintain these elevated frequencies, you will witness the outer world beginning to mirror your inner state, for this is the way of the hidden law. Before we get into the next chapter, you can download a free ebook version of this audiobook using the link in the pinned comment below this video. Chapter 14: The Stillness Between Worlds. In a small mountain village, Miriam sat at her loom each dawn, her weathered hands moving through familiar motions. One morning, between the rhythmic crossing of threads, she noticed something different, a presence in the spaces between her movements. In the pause between breaths, in the stillness between thoughts, there existed a vast silence that seemed alive with wisdom. You must understand that the hidden law operates not through constant motion, but through the sacred stillness that underlies all action. Just as music requires silence between notes to create melody, manifestation emerges from the quiet spaces where pure potential dwells. Most seek the law through endless doing, through ceaseless affirmations and visualizations. Yet the deepest truths reveal themselves only when the mind grows still. In silence, you touch the fertile void from which all creation springs. This void is not empty, it is pregnant with infinite possibility. The ancient ones knew this truth. They built temples not for worship through words, but for communion through silence. They understood that the universe speaks most clearly when the mind grows quiet, when the endless chatter of thought subsides into sacred stillness. Consider the tale of Caleb, who felt drawn to sit beside a mountain lake each morning. At first his mind raced with questions about his life's direction. But as days passed, he learned to rest in silence. watching the lake's surface mirror the sky. Gradually, in that stillness, answers began to rise like bubbles from the depths, not as thoughts, but as clear knowing. The guidance he sought had always been present, waiting in the silence for him to grow still enough to hear. This story mirrors an eternal truth. Wisdom does not need to be sought. It needs only to be allowed. When you step out of the noise of seeking and into the silence of being, the hidden law reveals itself naturally, like a flower opening to the sun. The practice of stillness is not an escape from life, but an entrance into its deeper currents. In silence, you align with the creative force that moves through all things. You become aware of the sacred pause between breaths, the quiet space between thoughts where pure potential waits to be shaped by your consciousness. To work with this aspect of the law, create space for silence in your life. Twice daily, morning and evening, sit in stillness for 7 minutes. Close your eyes and rest your attention gently on your breath. Do not try to silence your thoughts, simply observe them passing like clouds across the sky of your awareness. Let each breath draw you deeper into the quiet field, where the hidden law operates with perfect precision. This practice is not about achieving anything, it is about allowing everything. In these moments of stillness, you touch the source from which all manifestation flows. Chapter 15, Trust, where doubt dies and miracles begin. In a small cottage overlooking a valley, Lorraine stood at her window each morning, whispering, "Thank you," to the rising sun. Not for what she had, but for what she trusted would come. Her neighbors thought her strange, expressing gratitude for an empty garden that had yet to bloom, for companionship that had yet to arrive, for abundance that seemed distant. Yet within weeks, seedlings emerged without planting, new friendships blossomed unexpectedly, and opportunities appeared as if summoned by her unwavering gratitude. You see, trust is not a passive waiting, but an active force that speeds the hidden law into motion. When you thank the universe for what is not yet manifested in form, you align with the truth that everything already exists in potential. Your gratitude becomes the bridge between the unseen and the seen. Many believe they must wait for evidence before trusting, yet this reverses the natural order of creation. Trust comes first, always first. Your willingness to believe before seeing is the very power that brings the invisible into form. This is not blind faith, but recognition of a deeper reality where everything you seek already exists. Consider Victor, who spent years mining for gold in the mountains. Day after day, he dug deeper, his hands growing calloused, his spirit wearing thin. After 3 years, exhausted and doubting, he sold his claim and left. The new owner struck gold just inches from where Victor had stopped. Years later, Victor understood. His ceaseless effort was not the issue. He had simply lost trust at the threshold of his miracle. This tale mirrors your own journey with the hidden law. How often have you stood at the edge of manifestation, not realizing that trust, not more action, was the missing element? Every doubt you've faced was not a sign of failure, but an invitation to make the sacred leap into deeper faith. Your doubts do not block the law. They simply reveal where trust wants to grow stronger. Each moment of uncertainty is a doorway, asking, will you thank the universe now before the evidence appears? Will you trust so completely that your gratitude becomes a magnet for miracles? To anchor this teaching in your life, create a proof list of 3 past experiences where your desire manifested the moment you released your grip and simply trusted. Write down the details of each situation. Notice how letting go preceded each breakthrough. Let these memories strengthen your faith in the law's perfect timing. These past proofs become pillars of trust for your current desires. They remind you that the universe has always been faithful to your trust, even when your eyes could not yet see the blessing approaching. Chapter 16. Signs, Symbols, and Sacred Winks. In the dim light of her antique shop, Hazel dusted a Victorian music box when she noticed it, a small white feather tucked beneath its lid. She might have dismissed it had she not found an identical feather that morning in the chapters of an old leather-bound book and another in the folds of a silk shawl. You must understand that the universe speaks not in thunderous proclamations, but in whispers of repetition. When the same symbol appears across your path, it carries a message meant solely for your heart. These are not coincidences, but conversations. The hidden law reaching through the veil of ordinary life to guide you home. For Hazel, these feathers led her to confront a truth she had long avoided, that she was meant for more than merely preserving others' treasures. Each feather pointed to her own wings, waiting to unfold. The law communicates through the language of synchronicity, weaving patterns into the tapestry of your daily life. These patterns are not random. They are sacred hieroglyphs spelling out your next step, if only you have eyes to see. In the bustling streets of an ancient city, there lived a musician named Leon, who played his guitar for passing strangers. Those who stopped to listen often gasped in wonder, for his melodies seemed to echo their unspoken thoughts. A businessman hearing notes of courage before a vital meeting. A grieving widow finding solace in strings that sang of renewal. Leon had learned to attune himself to the hidden law's symphony, becoming an instrument of its endless dialogue with the world. When you notice these sacred echoes in your life, the recurring number, the animal that crosses your path, the song that follows you through the day, you are receiving invitations to deeper awareness. Your recognition is itself a response, a way of saying yes to the guidance that has always surrounded you. The law speaks in symbols because they bypass the analytical mind and touch the soul directly. They are bridges between the visible and invisible realms, carrying messages that words alone cannot convey. To align with this eternal conversation, embrace this 7-day symbol scavenger hunt. Each day, notice one repeated image or pattern in your world. It might be a color that keeps catching your eye, a phrase you hear from different sources, or an object that appears in unexpected places. When you spot your daily symbol, pause and ask with sincerity, "What are you telling me?" Then listen with your heart, not your head. The answer may come as a feeling, an insight, or a knowing that rises from your depths. This practice opens your awareness to the constant communication between you and the universe. It reminds you that every moment holds meaning, every coincidence carries purpose, and every pattern points toward your highest path. Chapter 17. Frequency First Form Second. In a small garage at the edge of town, Norman discovered something extraordinary. As his hands moved across engines and gears, he began to notice a pattern that defied conventional wisdom. When his heart was light and his spirit joyful, machines seemed to heal themselves beneath his touch. Yet on days when worry clouded his mind, even the simplest repairs became impossible puzzles. You see, the physical world responds not to your actions first, but to your vibration. This truth lies at the heart of the hidden law's operation. Every material form, every circumstance, every condition in your life is but a shadow cast by your energetic state. The universe does not operate through cause and effect as you have been taught. It operates through resonance, like attracting like, energy drawing its matching form. Your outer world will always arrange itself to mirror your inner frequency. When Norman finally understood this principle, he stopped trying to fix machines and began fixing his state of being first. The results were immediate and unmistakable. His reputation grew not because his technical skills improved, but because he had aligned himself with a higher law. In a quiet valley, there lived a woman named Betsy who struggled with constant misfortune until she made a revolutionary discovery. Instead of trying to change her circumstances, she devoted herself to shifting her emotional state. Each morning, before facing her challenges, she would cultivate feelings of peace and abundance. Within weeks, her external reality began to transform, as if orchestrated by an invisible hand. What Betsy discovered, and what you must now understand, is that the hidden law responds not to your wishes or wants, but to your energetic signature. It cares not for your goals or plans. It simply matches your frequency with perfect precision. This is why those who focus solely on external actions often find themselves frustrated. They have inverted the natural order of creation. Form does not lead to feeling. Feeling leads to form. To align yourself with this truth, begin a 5-day frequency journal. Each morning, record your dominant emotional state. Throughout the day, note the events, circumstances, and experiences that unfold. In the evening, observe the correlation between your inner frequency and your outer reality. This practice will reveal the direct relationship between your energetic state and your manifested experience. You will see with unmistakable clarity that your emotional frequency is the tuning fork to which the universe responds. Remember, the law is not impressed by what you want. It is impeccably faithful to who you are being. Your task is not to reach for what you desire, but to become the frequency of its fulfillment. Chapter 18, The Sacred Power of Your Word. In a small radio station perched above the city, Edith discovered the hidden power that lived within her words. Each morning, as she spoke into the microphone, she noticed something extraordinary. Her listeners would report feeling the exact emotions she had infused into her broadcasts, not just during the show, but for days afterward. You must understand that words are not mere sounds. They are creative codes that ripple through the fabric of reality. Each syllable you speak carries a frequency that either aligns with the hidden law or creates resistance against it. Your words are seeds planted in the fertile soil of universal consciousness, growing into the very experiences you encounter. When you speak in harmony with truth, the universe cannot help but respond. Yet most continue to fill their days with words of doubt, limitation, and fear, unknowingly programming their reality for more of the same. The law does not judge your words, it simply accepts them as commands for creation. In a quiet schoolroom, young Otis struggled with a persistent stutter that made him retreat into silence. One day, he discovered that when he spoke words of power, "I am strong, I am capable, I am heard," his speech flowed without hesitation. The more he declared these truths, the more his natural voice emerged, as if it had been waiting for permission to express itself fully. What Otis discovered was not coincidence but law. When you speak with the authority of knowing, reality reshapes itself to match your declaration. Your words are not descriptions of what is, but instructions for what will be. This is why the ancient masters taught their students to guard their speech carefully. They understood that each word spoken is a blueprint handed to the universe for manifestation. The law does not distinguish between casual conversation and intentional declaration. It receives all words as creative commands. To harness this power, stand before a mirror each morning and night. Speak these 5 declarations with the full force of your being. I am the power that creates worlds. Everything I touch transforms into gold. The universe moves through me as pure abundance. My words shape reality with divine precision. I am one with the hidden law. Speak these not as hopes or wishes, but as established facts. Feel each word resonating through your body, knowing that as you speak, the universe listens and responds. This is not affirmation. It is a declaration of what has always been true. Chapter 19. Resistance is a hidden messenger. In the warmth of her small bakery, Myrtle discovered a truth as ancient as bread itself. Each morning, as dawn painted the windows gold, she noticed that her finest creations emerged not from struggle, but from surrender. When she ceased fighting against time, when her hands moved in harmony with the natural rhythm of the dough, magic happened. The loaves that emerged from her oven in these moments of allowing carried a quality that her customers could taste but never quite name. You see, the hidden law reveals itself most clearly in moments of deep allowing. When you release the grip of control, you align with the natural current of creation that has flowed since the beginning of time. This is not passive resignation, but active participation with the intelligence that orchestrates galaxies. What you perceive as resistance in your life is not your enemy. It is a sacred messenger, pointing precisely to where alignment waits to be discovered. Every obstacle presents not a wall, but a doorway, if you know how to read its signs. In a sunlit studio across town, young Ernest stood before his half-finished sculptures, frustrated by what he called his creative blocks. For months, he had fought against these periods of apparent stagnation, until one morning, he simply stopped fighting. In that moment of surrender, he saw that each block had been guiding his hands toward a different form, one far more beautiful than his original vision. This truth extends beyond art. It touches every aspect of your existence. When plans falter, when doors close, when inspiration seems to vanish, you are not experiencing failure. You are receiving guidance. The universe speaks through these moments of apparent obstruction, inviting you to realign with a higher flow. Your resistance holds wisdom waiting to be unveiled. It is not your adversary, but your advisor, pointing the way to deeper truth. When you fight against it, you fight against your own evolution. When you listen to it, you discover the very keys to manifestation you've been seeking. Sacred practice. Find a quiet moment and write a letter to your resistance. Begin with these words: I acknowledge your presence and purpose. Let your writing flow without judgment. Ask your resistance, what are you protecting? What new direction are you indicating? What truth must I face to move forward? End your letter with gratitude, knowing that this dialogue itself is an act of allowing. Keep this letter as a testament to your willingness to align with the hidden law's perfect timing. Chapter 20. Ancient Rituals of Realignment. In a dusty attic beneath years of forgotten memories, Gloria discovered her grandmother's leather-bound diary. As she turned its weathered chapters, ancient wisdom stirred within her. Each entry revealed not just memories, but sacred ceremonies, rituals that had guided countless souls through life's greatest transitions. You must understand that these practices were not mere routines or empty traditions. They were keys that unlocked doorways between worlds, bridges connecting intention to manifestation. Your ancestors knew this truth, that ritual creates a sacred space where the hidden law can flow unimpeded. Through ritual, you speak directly to the universe in its own language. Every intentional gesture, every mindful breath, every focused moment becomes a channel through which the law expresses itself. These are not acts of superstition, but precise tools for energy alignment. In a remote monastery, Warren shared this wisdom with those who came seeking truth. The lighting of a candle, he would say, is not about the flame itself, but about focusing the scattered rays of consciousness into a single point of power. His students learned that ritual was not about asking, but about becoming, stepping into the frequency of what they sought to manifest. You see, ritual is the body's way of remembering what the mind often forgets, that you are always in communion with the infinite. When you create sacred space through conscious ceremony, you amplify the vibration of your intentions. You declare to the universe, "I am ready to receive." The power of ritual lies not in its complexity, but in its presence. A simple act, performed with complete awareness, carries more force than elaborate ceremonies done without heart. This is because ritual is not about the external form. It is about the internal transformation it initiates. Sacred practice. Create your personal manifestation ritual to be performed daily. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Light a candle, allowing its flame to represent the eternal light of consciousness within you. Speak your intention aloud, not as a wish, but as a declaration of what is already true. Close your eyes and breathe deeply, feeling yourself already living in the reality you desire. Let this feeling fill every cell of your being. Remain in this state for several minutes, knowing that in this sacred space, you and the law are one. End by expressing gratitude for what is already manifesting. This ritual becomes your daily reminder that the extraordinary is always available through conscious communion with the hidden law. Part 3, The Mastery Becoming the Hidden Law. Chapter 21. Embody the identity, not just the intention. In a small town where dreams often remained whispers, Dorothy stood before her mirror each morning, scissors in hand, measuring not just fabric but possibility. She understood, as if guided by an ancient knowing, that her current reality was but a temporary costume. You see, the hidden law responds not to what you wish to become, but to who you are being in this moment. When Dorothy began dressing in elegant clothes she had crafted herself, walking with the grace of the confident businesswoman she yearned to be, the universe recognized this new frequency. She spoke with authority about fashion and design, carried herself with the dignity of someone who already owned her own boutique. Within weeks, opportunities appeared as naturally as sunrise. A vacant storefront caught her eye. A wealthy client offered to invest. The law was simply matching her outer world to the identity she had claimed within. This truth runs deeper than mere appearance. The hidden law operates through vibration, and nothing carries a stronger vibration than your sense of self. When you step into the energy of your desired reality, not as an act but as an authentic expression, the universe must respond in kind. Consider Wendell, whose morning walks took him past the town's beloved bakery. Instead of merely dreaming, he began moving through the world as if the establishment were already his. He greeted customers with a baker's warmth, discussed recipes with passion, and planned improvements in his mind with such clarity that they seemed already real. One autumn morning, the elderly owner called Wendell in for a conversation. She had been watching him, recognizing in his demeanor the same love for the craft that had guided her for decades. Within months, the bakery passed into his caring hands, not through chance, but through the law's perfect response to his embodied knowing. You must understand, manifestation is not about asking the universe for what you want. It is about becoming the frequency of what you seek. The law cannot help but bring into form what you are already being in consciousness. Sacred practice. Select one day this week to fully embody your future self. Dress exactly as this version of you would dress. Move through your day with the confidence, wisdom, and energy of one who has already achieved their dreams. Speak with the authority of this future self. Make decisions from this elevated consciousness. Let every gesture reflect this higher identity. This is not pretense. It is practice in aligning with the truth of who you are becoming. The law will respond not to your acting, but to your authentic embodiment of this frequency. Chapter 22. You are the vessel and the voice. In a quiet corner of her garden, Gertrude rediscovered her voice. Not the trained soprano that once filled concert halls, but something far more sacred, a frequency that seemed to emerge from the universe itself. As she hummed while tending her roses, she noticed the buds opening in response. When she sang of rain during drought, clouds gathered within hours. You are now awakening to this same truth. Your voice, your presence, your very being is an instrument through which the hidden law expresses itself. You are not separate from the creative force that shapes reality. You are its living embodiment. The law does not require grand gestures or perfect pitch. It flows through the simple authenticity of your expression, waiting to be recognized as the divine force speaking through you. Russell understood this truth without naming it. As he walked his mail route each morning, he began slipping handwritten affirmations between letters and bills. "You are loved," one might read. "Your dreams are already in motion," declared another. He never signed them, never sought credit. He simply allowed himself to become a channel through which the law could touch others. Within weeks, the neighborhood transformed. Gardens flourished. Neighbors greeted each other with renewed warmth. Children played more freely in front yards, once empty. The hidden law had found expression through Russell's simple act of allowing himself to be its instrument. You see, the law is not something you must strain to access or earn the right to use. It is the very essence of what you are. Every word you speak, every gesture you make, carries its creative power. The only question is whether you will consciously align with this truth or continue believing in separation. When you cease trying to make things happen and instead allow yourself to become the instrument through which miracles naturally flow, the law expresses with effortless grace. Your role is not to force or control, but to remain open, willing, and aware of your divine nature as a channel for universal wisdom. Sacred practice. Create a daily channeling ritual. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Light a candle if you wish. Close your eyes and take 3 deep breaths. Then, for 5 minutes, either write or speak aloud as the universe itself. Let wisdom flow through you without judgment or editing. Begin with the words, "I speak as the law itself, and this is my guidance." Allow whatever emerges to be your compass for the day. Trust that the hidden law is always speaking through you, waiting only for your recognition and surrender. Chapter 23. The Alchemy of Inspired Action. In the heart of her studio, Lucille stood before an untouched block of marble. For years, she had forced herself to work on schedule, believing discipline meant pushing through resistance. But one morning, something shifted. She put down her chisel and waited, not in idleness, but in sacred attention. You too have felt this inner knowing, this whisper that says, "Now is the time." The hidden law works not through constant effort, but through inspired action. When you align with its rhythm, movement becomes effortless, like leaves dancing in a divine wind. Lucille discovered that when she worked only in moments of pure inspiration, her hands seemed guided by an unseen force. Her sculptures began selling before completion, collectors drawn to the energy embedded in each piece. She had stumbled upon a truth. Action born of alignment carries a power that effort alone can never match. The law does not require your strain or struggle. It asks only for your attention to its subtle promptings, your willingness to move when moved. This is the difference between forcing and flowing, between pushing against life and dancing with it. Earl, who had fished the same waters for decades, understood this wisdom in his bones. Other boats followed charts and schedules, but Earl waited for what he called the knowing, a quiet certainty that would rise within him. When that feeling came, he would cast his nets without hesitation. His fellow fishermen marveled at how he never returned empty-handed. What Earl knew, and what you are now remembering, is that aligned action carries the signature of inevitability. It feels less like doing and more like allowing yourself to be moved by the current of creation itself. Your greatest achievements will not come from forcing yourself into action, but from learning to recognize and respond to the law's gentle nudges. When you feel that spark of inspiration, that quiet yes within, act immediately. This is the law speaking through your intuition, guiding you toward your highest good. Sacred practice. Today, set aside your plans and schedules for one moment. Listen for an inspired impulse, something that brings you joy, just thinking about it. When you feel that spark, act on it immediately, without questioning or delay. This is not about productivity or achievement. It is about aligning with the natural flow of the law as it moves through you. Trust that when inspiration calls, it carries within it all the energy needed for its fulfillment. Chapter 24. Reality rushes to meet you. In her small flower shop, Faye stood arranging roses one quiet morning when a vision swept through her mind, customers eagerly seeking her unique botanical readings, where she would interpret the flowers calling to their spirits. Instead of dismissing this image as mere fantasy, she held it with unwavering certainty. You too have felt such visions arise, yet how often have you diluted their power with doubt? The hidden law responds not to the size of your desire, but to the completeness of your acceptance. When Faye saw those customers in her mind's eye, she did not question how or when, she simply knew. Within days, her shop transformed. People began arriving, drawn by an inexplicable pull, asking for exactly what she had envisioned. The universe had not delayed. It had simply waited for her pure belief to align with its infinite power to provide. This truth echoes through the story of Wallace, a humble street vendor who woke one morning with absolute knowledge that his handcrafted wares would find their perfect homes. He spoke to his creations as if they were already sold, thanking each buyer before they appeared. By sunset, every piece had found its destined owner, some paying far more than his usual asking price. The law does not operate within human concepts of time. What appears as delay is merely the gap between your declaration and your belief. When Wallace claimed his vision without a shadow of doubt, reality rushed to match his inner certainty. This is not coincidence, it is cosmic law in action. Your manifestations arrive at the speed of your belief. When you plant a seed of desire and water it with complete acceptance, you collapse the space between wanting and having. The universe does not need time to arrange your good. It needs only your unwavering faith. Sacred practice. Find a quiet space where you will not be disturbed, a sacred sanctuary where you can commune with the infinite. Close your eyes and bring to mind one specific desire, not a vague wish, but a vivid vision that stirs your soul. See it with crystal clarity, as if watching it unfold before your inner eye, every detail sharp and alive with possibility. Chapter 25. The Ancient Ones Whisper, Yes. In a dimly lit study filled with leather-bound books and fading photographs, Beverly traced her fingers across yellowed chapters of her great-grandmother's journal. Her heart quickened as she recognized familiar words: affirmations and rituals mirroring those she had only recently discovered within herself. You stand now at a similar threshold of recognition. The practices that stir your soul, the inner knowing that guides your path, these are not new discoveries, but ancient remembrances flowing through your bloodline. The hidden law reveals itself through generations, each soul adding its light to an eternal flame. When Beverly found her ancestors' writings about manifesting through inner stillness, she understood that her own spiritual awakening was not random. She was fulfilling a sacred legacy, picking up threads of wisdom left specifically for her to find. Your journey of awakening carries the whispered blessings of countless others who walked this path before you. Like Clyde, the merchant who began hearing guiding voices in his dreams, you are surrounded by unseen support. Each night, as he surrendered deeper into trust, these voices grew clearer, not as external authority, but as remembrance of his own divine heritage. The law speaks through bloodlines and beyond them, through spiritual lineages that transcend physical ancestry. When Clyde heard those affirming whispers, he recognized them as echoes of eternal truth, the same truth that now awakens in you. You are not starting from scratch. You are continuing a sacred conversation that has been unfolding since time began. Every ritual you perform, every truth you embrace, ripples both backward and forward through time, blessing those who came before and those who will follow. The universe has preserved these teachings through generations, waiting for the moment when you would be ready to receive them. Your current awakening is not accidental. It is an appointed time, a convergence of past wisdom and future possibility. Sacred practice. Find a quiet space and light a single candle. Let its flame represent the eternal light of wisdom passed down through ages. Close your eyes and feel the presence of those who practice these truths before you. Your spiritual ancestors, guides, and teachers, known and unknown. Speak your vision aloud with clarity and power, knowing that countless others have voiced similar declarations in sacred moments like this. Ask for their blessing, not as permission, but as acknowledgement of your place in this timeless lineage of light. Begin with these words. I stand in the power of those who came before me, those who kept these truths alive until I was ready to remember. Bless this vision I now declare. Chapter 26. Living as the Oracle. In a sunlit studio overlooking a quiet garden, Irene sat before her easel each morning, brush poised, waiting, not for inspiration, for revelation. The images that visited her dreams no longer felt like fragments of imagination, but messages from the infinite well of knowing that exists beyond time. You too hold this capacity for divine sight. The hidden law speaks not just through conscious thought, but through the sacred language of symbol and vision. As Irene learned to trust the nocturnal whispers of her soul, her paintings began to reflect not what was, but what would be. A storm-tossed ship that appeared on her canvas preceded a great tempest. A field of blooming roses foretold an unexpected romance. The universe speaks first in pictures, in feelings, in knowledge that transcend rational thought. Your task is not to question these messages, but to become their faithful scribe. Consider Luther, who worked as a simple bookkeeper until the day he felt words of guidance rising within him like a spring. At first he hesitated, bound by doubt and social convention, but as he surrendered to this inner voice, he found himself speaking truths to strangers that unlocked doors in their lives. He became not the source, but the channel, a clear glass through which divine wisdom could flow. You are being called to this same surrender. The hidden law does not require your understanding, only your willingness to be its instrument. When Luther stopped analyzing the guidance and simply allowed it to flow, his words carried a power that transformed lives. He had crossed the threshold from seeking wisdom to embodying it. This is the deeper invitation of the law, to move beyond searching for signs and become the oracle itself. Your intuition is not a separate force to be consulted, but your own divine nature awakening to itself. Every hesitation, every moment of doubt, is simply the human mind trying to comprehend what the soul already knows. The time has come to trust the whispers that wake you in the night, the hunches that arise without reason, the feelings that guide you without explanation. These are not random impulses. They are the law speaking through your own being. Sacred practice. As each new day dawns before the world's noise crowds your mind, sit in perfect stillness. Place your hand upon your heart and ask with reverence, "What does the oracle within me know today?" Wait in sacred silence. Let the first impressions, words, or images arise naturally. Write them down without judgment or interpretation. These messages are your daily bread, your personal guidance from the infinite. Follow what is revealed, even if it seems to defy logic. Remember, the law speaks not through reason, but through the ancient language of the soul. Chapter 27. Wealth, love, and joy are your inheritance. In a modest cottage at the edge of town, Millie dusted the same wooden shelves she had cleaned 1,000 times before. Yet on this particular morning, something shifted in her perception. As she moved the feather duster across the surface, she began seeing not worn wood but rich mahogany. The simple ceramic vases transformed in her mind's eye into fine crystal. You possess this same power of transformation. The hidden law reveals that your outer world must mirror your inner state, not the other way around. When Millie began treating her humble home as a palace, she awakened a frequency of abundance that had always existed within her. She polished each surface with reverence, arranged wildflowers as if they were rare orchids, and walked through her rooms with the grace of nobility. Within weeks, subtle changes began appearing. A wealthy woman noticed Millie's exceptional care and offered her a position managing an estate. Soon, Millie found herself surrounded by the very luxury she had first imagined. Yet the true miracle was not the outer change. It was her recognition that abundance had been her natural state all along. This truth echoes in the tale of Foster, whose garden had withered after his beloved's passing. For months, he tended the plants out of duty, and they remained lifeless. Then one morning, as sunlight filtered through the leaves, he felt a spark of joy return. The same delight he and his wife had shared in their garden. The moment he reconnected with this original state of joy, the plants began to flourish as never before. You see, wealth, love, and joy are not distant treasures to be hunted down. They are your inheritance, the natural state from which you emerged. When you feel lack, you have not lost these gifts. You have only temporarily forgotten your birthright. The universe holds no judgment about your worthiness. There are no tests to pass, no dues to pay. Like Millie and Foster, you need only return to the truth of who you are. The hidden law responds not to what you want, but to what you remember. When you treat yourself as inherently blessed, the outer world has no choice but to reflect this inner knowing. Sacred practice. Stand before a mirror each morning, place your hand upon your heart, and declare with unwavering certainty, "I now receive my inheritance, joy, love, wealth, peace. It is mine now." Speak these words not as a plea or wish, but as a recognition of what has always been true. Feel the vibration of each word resonating through your being, awakening the memory of your divine birthright. Let each syllable carry the weight of absolute certainty, for you are declaring what the universe has held in trust, since the beginning of time. As you speak, know that you are not asking for something new, but rather acknowledging the abundance that has always been woven into the fabric of your existence. The words themselves become a key, unlocking the ancient chambers of remembrance within your soul. Chapter 28. Instant Manifestation. In a sunlit kitchen one morning, Nancy was washing dishes when a crystal-clear vision appeared in her mind: a cottage with blue shutters, climbing roses by the door, and an old oak tree in the backyard. The image felt so real, so present, that she could smell the roses and feel the rough bark beneath her fingers. Instead of dismissing this vision as mere fancy, she embraced it with complete certainty. You must understand, the universe knows no concept of time as you perceive it. When Nancy opened her newspaper the next morning, there on the front page of the real estate section was her exact vision. Every detail matched perfectly, down to the pattern of the stained glass in the front door. The hidden law operates with immediate precision when you remove the veil of doubt between yourself and your desire. Most believe manifestation requires patience, waiting, and earning. This is the grand illusion. The only gap between desire and fulfillment is the space you create through hesitation. Consider Harold, a young man who dreamed of sailing the world. For years he planned and prepared, always saying, "Someday." Then one morning, he woke to find a letter from a stranger offering him a position on their crew, the exact opportunity he had imagined. What changed? Harold had finally allowed himself to feel worthy of his dream, to claim it as already his. The moment he shifted from someday to now, the universe responded in kind. The law knows nothing of tomorrow. It operates only in the eternal now. When you plant a seed of desire while maintaining even the slightest belief in delay, you create the very waiting you seek to avoid. But when you dare to claim your desire as already fulfilled, when you live as though it is done, the universe must rush to match your certainty. Your role is not to figure out how or when. Your role is to collapse all distance between yourself and your desire through absolute knowing. Let go of the notion that manifestation requires time. Time is merely the space between doubt and certainty. Sacred practice. Select one cherished desire and declare it done, not hoping to be done, not waiting to be done, but complete in this moment. Write it down in present tense. I am now. Throughout this day, move through each moment expecting to see evidence of its fulfillment. Keep a small notebook with you and record every sign, every synchronicity, every coincidence that appears. These are not random events. They are confirmations of your alignment with the law's immediate response. Chapter 29. You were the hidden law all along. In a small workshop filled with the warm glow of candlelight, Louisa crafted each candle with reverence, infusing them with intention. As she worked, she noticed something extraordinary. The very light she created for others began reflecting a deeper truth within herself. The flames she kindled weren't merely illuminating spaces. They were awakening remembrance. You see, the hidden law reveals itself most powerfully when you recognize that what you seek to create for others is the very essence of what you are. Louisa's revelation came not through seeking, but through being. Through the simple act of bringing light into darkness, she discovered she was the light itself. The flame you see before you is not separate from the fire within your heart. It never was. The law you have been studying, practicing, and pursuing is not external to you. It is your very nature, temporarily forgotten beneath layers of limiting beliefs. Consider Roy, who lived alone in a mountain cabin, writing his daily thoughts in a leather-bound journal. At first, he wrote of what he observed: the changing seasons, the patterns of birds, the rhythm of days. But something shifted when he realized his words weren't merely recording reality. They were creating it. Each entry became a prophecy fulfilled, not because he gained some magical power, but because he finally accepted his true identity as a creator, not an observer. You have been taught to see yourself as separate from the power you seek. This final unveiling shows you that separation itself is the only illusion. The law is not a force you must align with. It is what you are when all false identities fall away. Every miracle you've witnessed, every manifestation you've created, every synchronicity you've attracted has been you recognizing yourself. This truth may feel too vast to accept at first. The ego prefers to see power as something to attain rather than remember. But just as Louisa discovered that she was the very light she had been offering to others, you too must now claim your original identity. Sacred practice. Stand before a mirror in complete presence, allowing all thoughts of past and future to dissolve into this sacred moment. Look deeply into your own eyes, not as a seeker, but as the sought, the eternal presence that has witnessed every moment of your existence. Speak these words with growing conviction. I am the law. I am the light. I am the source. Let each declaration arise from the depths of your being, resonating through every cell of your body. Continue until you feel the words vibrate with truth, until the very air around you seems charged with their power, until you recognize that the divine force you've been seeking has always been looking back at you through your own eyes. In this profound moment of self-recognition, allow yourself to merge with the infinite presence that you truly are. Chapter 30. Your time is now. In a small workshop where time seemed to stand still, Clifford held the last timepiece he would ever repair. His weathered hands, which had restored countless clocks over decades, moved with deliberate grace. As he aligned the final gear, something profound awakened within him. Time had never been his enemy. Every delay, every setback, every moment of waiting had been orchestrating his perfect unfoldment. You too must now understand this sacred truth. Time is not a force working against you, but a divine orchestrator working through you. The universe has been preparing you through every experience, every challenge, every apparent delay. Nothing was wasted, nothing was wrong. Everything was alignment taking form. When you release the illusion of time as an adversary, you step into the power of the eternal now. Here, in this moment, all possibilities exist simultaneously. Here, in this breath, you are both the seeker and the found. The past was not a series of mistakes to overcome, but a perfectly crafted path leading you to this awakening. Consider Ivy, whose story mirrors this wisdom. She held her dreams with open hands, neither grasping nor pushing away. She understood that forcing timing was a form of distrust. Instead of chasing her visions with urgency, she welcomed them with grace. Her desires manifested not when she demanded them, but when she recognized they were already hers in the eternal now. This revelation transforms how you relate to manifestation itself. You are not moving toward your desires. You are awakening to their presence. The future you seek is not waiting to be created. It is waiting to be recognized. Every moment of your life has been leading you to this understanding. The hidden law operates outside of linear time. It responds not to duration, but to alignment. When you fully inhabit the now, you access all the power that has ever been or will be. This is the final liberation from the tyranny of when into the freedom of now. Sacred practice. Each morning for 7 days, as the sun rises and before the world's demands begin, write these words with full presence and power. Now is the moment. Now I receive. Now I have become one. Let each word resonate through your being, allowing its vibration to awaken every cell of your consciousness. Feel the truth that this moment contains all moments, past, present, and future, merge into this singular point of power. This is not an affirmation to be repeated mechanically, but a declaration of your emergence into timeless awareness, a sacred acknowledgement of your eternal nature. As you speak these words, you step beyond the illusion of linear time into the infinite now, where all possibilities exist simultaneously. If you enjoyed this audiobook, I created a free ebook version for you. You can download it using the link in the pinned comment. Conclusion. You stand now at the threshold of remembrance, having walked through the veils that once seemed so solid. The journey that began with seeking ends with a profound recognition. You were never separate from the power you pursued. Like a wave realizing it is the ocean, you have awakened to your true nature. The hidden law was never a technique to master or a system to learn. It was the sacred remembrance of who you have always been. Every chapter, every teaching, every ritual was not adding to you. It was stripping away the illusions that kept you from your inherent divinity. Your desires were never random wishes. They were the universe speaking through you, calling you home to your true potential. Each longing was a sacred blueprint, a divine whisper reminding you of your creative power. The barriers you encountered were not obstacles but initiations, each one dissolving as you claimed your sovereign nature. You no longer need to beg the universe for favors or plead with invisible forces. You have remembered that you are those forces in human form. The power you sought externally now pulses through your very being, recognized as your original state. The throne of creation was never distant. It was within you, waiting for this moment of recognition. You have reclaimed your place as a conscious creator, working in harmony with universal law. This is not pride or arrogance, it is the humble acceptance of your divine birthright. Walk forward now, knowing that manifestation is not something you do, but something you are. Your presence alone shifts reality. Your clarity commands creation. Your being transforms the world around you. You have completed the circle of remembrance. What began as a search for power ends in the recognition that you are that power. What started as a quest for control culminates in the freedom of trust. What emerged as a need for proof dissolves in the certainty of knowing. This is not an ending, but an emergence. You have returned to yourself. You have remembered your light. You have awakened to your truth. If you enjoyed this exclusive audiobook, I handpicked this next book which will change your life.